pictures of horror from 25 years ago today. On May 25th, 1979, just after 3 in the afternoon, 273 people died when American Airlines Flight 191 lost an engine during takeoff from O'Hare Field and crashed to the ground. To mark the solemn anniversary, the families of about 15 victims took part in a private service at O'Hare's chapel and then went to the crash site. They say it's just good to know they are not alone.
Anytime you talk, and we've made contact with family members, they have said that it's so good to talk to you and to be able to relate that you also had lost someone in this flight.
Also taking part in today's ceremony were emergency workers, the ones who responded to the scene of the plane crash so long ago.
Flight 191 remains America's deadliest aviation accident.
Mark Sapelsa joins us now with a unique look back at this dark day in Chicago history. Mark.
Robin Walter, the DC-10 lost more than just the engine. The cockpit also lost vital controls, something one pilot compared to losing your steering wheel while driving 60 miles an hour. Many Chicagoans remember seeing the mountain of smoke from miles away. Tonight, we hear from the rescuers who got there first and could barely see through that smoke. Their stories in My Closer Look.
So it was, I remember distinctly, 3:15. I heard an airplane, and I thought, boy, that airplane sounds kind of low. And then it would, pow, like backfire. I thought, oh man, that sounds like a plane in trouble.
My partner was on the phone where he was kind of looking out the window, and all of a sudden he said, holy cow, and here was this huge black column of smoke rising in the sky.
It was Gary Jensen's first year as Elk Grove Township Fire Chief, and on this 25th anniversary of the crash of American Flight 191, he's still the fire chief.
People always ask me about it, and every time I drive by there, I think about it.
You're cutting through that smoke in an attempt to rescue, and there was nothing to rescue.
Right, right. It was just ground litter, pieces of shredded plane.
Chicago Police Sergeant Ken Berger, now retired, may have been the first to reach the crash site.
And I ran through the smoke and the fire, and I said, where the hell is the plane?
And I remember seeing, I think, 13 ambulances there, and I said to the pastor, I said, this is not good. None of those ambulances are leaving.
Father Richard Homa heard the explosion from his nearby church and raced over with another priest. That's the two of them there at the scene, May 25th, 1979.
I was blessing the body of a person, and a fireman came by and said, Father, get out of there. And I looked, and I was next to a junk car, and it was leaking gasoline. All of a sudden, I heard this boom, and I turned around again, and the trunk of the car was shooting about 10, 15 feet in the air.
Flight 191 crashed just after takeoff. It had been in the air only 31 seconds, never higher than 300 feet. All 271 aboard died. Only 2 on the ground were killed.
I don't like saying God put something here rather than here rather than here, but providentially, 2 seconds later, that plane would have been in the middle of those trailers. 10 seconds later, it would have been in the oil tank field.
The crash site looks the same 25 years later, nothing more than an empty field.
We could probably still find a piece of that plane.
That, the chief says, has family members of the crash victims unhappy to this day.
There's no memorial, there's no plaque, there's nothing over there to commemorate that site.
Aviation buffs say the crash has a living legacy. The way it changed aircraft maintenance.
When they grounded the DC-10, the American public felt that it was because it was a defective plane. It wasn't. It was bad maintenance.
Peter Greenberg and the History Channel recently retraced the investigation. How did a jet engine fall off an airplane as it roared down the runway? The simple answer, American Airlines hurried repairs to save money.
And by the way, they didn't do it secretly. They told McDonnell Douglas they were going to do it, and they told the FAA they were going to do it, and nobody said boo.
Greenberg worries cash-strapped airlines may be forgetting the lessons of Flight 191 as they outsource more and more maintenance.
Because the fireball went that way.
This cop, fire chief, and priest say they remember the crash not in nightmares, but with every passing jumbo jet. It's been a quarter century. They still look up. And there are so many fascinating details from the crash that we obviously can't fit into a 4-minute piece like this, like that broken bolt Only one small clue in explaining how the engine came off. An American's chief maintenance man killed himself before the investigation was complete. Walter Robin, the new History Channel documentary premieres on Thursday night. It's a good one.
Okay, wow. Thank you, Mark.
American Idol will soon be